For this story, you'll be reading The Sniper. This is written by, I think it's Liam O'Flaherty, and it is written about the Civil War in Ireland. Usually, when we say the Civil War, we think of our Civil War in the United States, and we don't really consider how many times civil wars happen elsewhere in the world. But Ireland also went through a civil war that you could argue happened because of our war against England, the Revolutionary War. We fought the Revolutionary War because we didn't feel like we were being represented in England. And so we fought to become an independent nation. Well, a lot of nations followed our lead and looked at the way that we had approached it. And Ireland was no different. Ireland belonged to England. And in the early 1900s, it became clear that Ireland wanted change. They wanted something different. But the people were divided on what they wanted. Half of the people wanted to become a completely independent, free nation. The other half wanted to remain part of the Commonwealth of England. They just wanted to be represented. They wanted to have Ireland to have representation in the government in England. And the division became so strong that it started a civil war that happened in I believe it was 1916 to 1918. So it lasted for a couple of years. And even though the war was decided, those that won were the ones that wanted representation. The war never really came to a complete close. There was a group, they call them, it's still called the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, that was not happy with the results. And they decided to use terrorism, guerrilla warfare maybe as a way to look at it, to continue their cause. So long after the Civil War was over, even today, members of the IRA are still killing people in Ireland because they want a different type of government in their country. So, matter of fact, the song Zombie from the Cranberries was written because of a small child that was blown up by a bomb that was put in a garbage can in Ireland over this. So the Civil War in Ireland was extremely divisive, and the people are still very divided. Whether you're in Southern or Northern Ireland, you'll find a difference of opinion on how the government should run in Ireland today. This story was written about that Civil War. So like many Civil War stories, many war stories, you'll find that there are always differences in point of view. This story is written from the perspective of a sniper. A sniper is a person who is trained to shoot from long distances and be very specific in their shooting. Our snipers today from the United States can hit a target from 2 miles away. That person will get hit and killed before they even hear the sound of the gun going off because it's from such a long distance. But back in 1916, 1917, 18, when this story takes place, they didn't have that type of technology. So a long distance rifle in those days, you're talking 200 yards. So if you're a sniper, you are close enough that you can see your enemy, and you're looking through just peep sights on that gun, not a big scope. You're looking through just the sights on that gun to kill the other person. A sniper's life is a difficult life. They're alone most of the time, and they may be in one spot for a few days just waiting for their target and trying to accomplish their goal. Well, in this story, the sniper comes to find out that there is an enemy sniper across the street on top of a roof facing him. And so this is a story of those two facing off as snipers. In the end of the story, I want you to think about what the real message is here. It's a fictional story, but I suspect it probably represents things that happen on a regular basis. Brother killing brother, father killing son, cousin killing cousin. Just like our Civil War, you end up with people on both sides of it. And the ultimate story here, the theme of this story, is that war is hard and war is difficult for every person, regardless which side of the issue that you're on. When you finish reading the story, I want you to create a T-chart that shows the pros and cons of war. So a T-chart is simply take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, line across the top. On one side of it, you have the pros. On the other side, you have the cons. And I want you to really think this through. Chances are you have an opinion already on whether you think war is good or bad. And the truth is, whichever side of that discussion you land on, there are still pros and cons on both sides of the argument. So I want you to really think through, what are the pros of going to war? And then I want you to really think through, what are the cons? In the end, I'm not asking you to come to any determination. I'm not asking you to change your opinion on whether you think war is good or bad. I want you to really look at war from both sides of the argument. And then you'll turn in that T-chart. So you could create it digitally if you want to make a slide doing that, or you could set it up in an email. You could draw it on a piece of paper and then turn in that paper to me. The format's up to you, but I want you to really think through this. So total, this should take you probably 1 to 2 class periods, depending on how fast you read. But I really want you to think through the pros and cons. All right, have fun with this.